What's up guys, Chris here back with a new video. Today I will be showing you how to disassemble the frame of the Cybergun /WE Desert Eagle .50 AE gas blowback pistol. So to get started, I'm gonna pop out the magazine, push in the disassembly lever, flip the lever here, the disassembly button, flip down the disassembly lever, put the pistol upside down, pull the frame off, or the slide off, however you wish. Put the slide to the side. And this is what we're going to be working with in this video. So to get things started off, we are going to be removing the grip, and to do that you need to depress a plunger that's inside of this hole. So we're going to get ourselves a suitably sized punch, cock the hammer, put it down, and as you're pressing down on the plunger, you sort of want to give the grip a nudge backwards from here to here. So let's see if I can do this, like so. Okay, and once you get to this point, you're going to notice the grip is catching, and that's because it has, let's see if we can get some light in there, maybe not. Right in here, we have these tabs on all four sides, so you sort of need to pry the grip apart. This is probably one of the more difficult steps, and there we go, we got the grip off. So we're going to put the frame to the side for now, and let's take a look at what's inside of here. So we have the assembly in the grip that's actually keeping it in place in the frame, which we're going to be disassembling. The plunger moves up and down like so, and it's very difficult to see, but right in here we have a C-clip that we need to remove to get the plunger and this assembly out. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers, and let's see, I want to align the C-clip so that the opening is towards the bottom, so I can actually pull it off. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but oh, this plier is too big actually. Let's go ahead and get a smaller one. So push it in so that the C-clip is about halfway up. Right there. And we come in with our thin pliers and pull it off like so. And of course, as per usual, I have my parts tray, so we're going to put this down here. And by removing this C-clip, we can now come in here and pull this pin out, put this in the tray as well. And what's left in here, this is sort of what seats inside of the frame and keeps the grip in place. So we can actually go in, well, there's a spring poking out here that we can pull out with our pliers right away so we don't lose it. Right, so what I was saying is this assembly in here is removable. So we want to go in with our pliers, grab a hold somewhere like here, and wiggle it out like this. And up top here, we just have a retaining pin that's basically blocking the spring from going all the way up. You could poke that out if you want, but not really necessary. And that is the grip. So you might want to do this if, for example, you're trying to install a real steel grip or something like that. Next up, let's go ahead and pop the takedown lever and takedown button out. And to do that, much like on a Beretta, you push the button in a little bit sort of too far, which allows you to rotate. Let's see, I didn't really get that video. Push the button in all the way, and that allows you to over rotate the button for it to come, the takedown lever for it to come loose, and you can pull it out. And in doing so, we are also freeing up the button and the spring. Let's go ahead and drop the hammer here. So next up, what I like to do is whenever there are pins and a screw, on some models like on the Glocks, you have a screw back here. Since the pins are keeping things in place by horizontal force, whereas the screws are keeping it in place in vertical, with vertical force, in my mind, the pins are stronger. So I always like to remove the screws first. So we're going to go ahead and remove the screw in the frame with a screwdriver, preferably. Next up, let's go ahead and take out the slide catch lever or slide release lever. And what I did originally was just punch on this pin right here, but let's see, I doubt I can get light in here. Maybe. The slide catch lever or release lever. Well, basically, there's a spring from the trigger that retains this. So you basically just want to take a small flathead or something, go in here. You're going to see it when once you get in here. Let's see if I can get a shot of this. Like so. And once you have this tension off, you can get the lever out. And this is basically 3 parts actually. You have the actual slide release lever itself. You have the axis right here. And well, 4 parts, I guess. And then you have the spring and a tiny screw that holds the spring in place. I'm not going to be removing either of these parts. This pin right here, I think, is screwed into this part. So you would have to undo that. And the spring, there's really no need to remove, but in case yours has come off, or for whatever reason, this is what it's supposed to look like. And I've also heard of one guy who managed to break this pin. You can see here it has a pretty thin cut right here where the spring from the trigger rests. So when his broke off, he basically drilled a hole in either side of the 2 ends and put a super glued a pin in place. So just be aware of that. Let's see. Next up here, I would probably remove magazine release button. Problem is, on mine, when I did my dry run in preparation for this video, the screw head right here, there's supposed to be a flathead screw on here. It snapped clean off. So because there was too much thread locker / glue, so I'm not going to be able to remove that, but there is a flathead screw in here that you can undo and remove the magazine release. So we're basically going to start punching out the pins here, and all of the pins on the frame, like on the slide, go out from right side to left side. And I think only the top pin up here was a little bit tricky. The other ones came out without too much force. So let's start with this one down here, and this is a sort of retention holder for the grip. So the pin, well, it's a bit difficult to explain. Basically, the pin goes in here and make sure that the grip attaches to the frame. I don't think I have a small enough punch for this. Nope, so I'm gonna have to use a tiny hex head instead. Left to right. Just give it a little bit of a push. And it's gotten started on here. Pull it out. And you can see it has a little bit of knurling on the left-hand side. And this retention piece came off as well. It basically just slots in here like this. I'll be showing you that in the reassembly video, so not a big deal. Next up, let's punch out the bottom hammer housing pin. Let's see. Yeah, these ones I was just able to push them out. Again, knurling on left-hand side. And finally, like I said, this top one was the only one that required a little bit of force. I think since I've had this out already, it should, yeah, a little bit of hand force. Pushes it out, and once again, knurling on the left-hand side. And this should, in theory, allow us to lift out the front chassis and the hammer housing assembly. So let's see, I think I lifted out the rear, just sort of wiggle it, comes out. Be careful, the only thing in here that might come out is this tiny spring here. The usual culprit in internal hammer mechanisms. And we want to lift this out, rotate it, and lift it off. So basically the trigger bar, this part right here, sits, that's going to be a little bit difficult, in there. Oh well. The trigger and the trigger bar are held on with C-clips. I'm not going to be disassembling this any further, but if you wanted to, you would have to remove this C-clip and pull the pin and the spring out. So the spring is installed like that. And the actual trigger bar should be oriented like this. So we're going to put that to the side. Let's go ahead and pull out the front chassis. There's really nothing in here. It's just an empty piece of metal. And basically the frame is now empty, apart from the magazine release button, which I can't remove. I'm gonna see if I can, I'm not sure if you can see, if we can get in there close. There's a little bit of flathead slot still in what's left of the screw. So I'm hoping I can maybe deepen that out and actually get the screw out. Otherwise, I'll have to drill it out. So what we are left with, let's zoom in a little bit, is the actual hammer housing assembly. So we have the hammer, we have the valve, let's see, what's it called? Valve knocker reset spring down here. We have the hammer spring in here on the hammer strut. We have the valve knocker, and let's see, yeah, you can sort of see in here we have the sear spring. So what I like to do is get this spring out as soon as possible. So I'm just going to use something, I think I have like a super tiny poking tool somewhere here. Right, so this is what used to be a 0.7 millimeter hex wrench. I don't think it's very much use for that anymore. But let's see if we can go in here and just lift that spring out, just so it doesn't go flying off. And basically, to further get this apart, let's see what would be best to start with. Okay, let's go ahead and try and remove the hammer spring next, because that's a little bit of a work hazard to have that in here. So if we look up here, that little hole right there, the hammer strut actually comes out there when the hammer gets compressed, like that. And so you want to sort of get a pair of pliers so you can get over there. Let's see if we can do this. Push down. And that's exactly what you don't want happening, but at least it didn't go in my eye. So the hammer spring and this little retention thingy came off. The spring is on the strut with the narrow end up towards the hammer. And this basically goes on top and sits in here like this. Right. Okay, we got that out. Try to prevent the spring from flying off. Next up, let's go ahead and remove these two screws right here so that we can get this sort of hatch off. You can just push this up with a screwdriver and lift it off. There's nothing in here unless something got stuck and came out with it. And let's see. So this is what it looks like below that little plate. So we can go ahead and lift this off. I'm not really sure what this would be. This is the valve reset knocker, I think. We can go ahead and pull this brass pin out. I think we should be able to. Yep, just a little bit sticky. And after that, the hammer drops out. And you still have the hammer strut attached. So if you wanted to go ahead and remove that for whatever reason, you'd have to punch out this little pin and right side to left side. I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Next, we want to punch out the pin holding in, let's see, what would that be? The valve knocker. Again, left side to right side. Go ahead and get a punch. Sort of put your finger on top so things don't go flying. Was that the wrong way? It is. Did I install that? No. Let's see. I think I had the wrong way around. This is the rear side. This is the right-hand side, which would make this the left-hand side. So it goes right side to left side. Just like that. And again, we have knurling on the pin. Not sure why I emphasize on that. Pull your punch out. This spring is going to come out. And we will be able to pull the valve knocker out from the hammer housing with a little bit of wiggling. Let's see here. There we go. For whatever reason, mine has a little bit of damage here on the top. Let's see, what would that be? Top right-hand side, which is now to the left in frame. You can see it's a little bit deformed up here. Not really sure from what. Finally, let's go ahead and push out the sear pin down here. This is the rear. This is the right side, this is the left side. So right side to left side. Oh, does this need to be, let's see. You know what, I think I might have installed this the wrong way around. If you look here on, this is the left-hand side of the chassis. This is the right-hand side. And if we look closely on the face of the pin, you can see that this side, which is now the right-hand side, is a little bit bigger than the left-hand side. You can see there's more of a gap around here, which would indicate that the knurling is actually on the right-hand side. So I think I might have installed this the wrong way around when I put it back together. Let's see, we're gonna have to get a hammer. Yep, I installed that the wrong way around. So you can see the knurling that I keep talking about poking out here. So that's my mistake. It should be going out. Again, this is the rear where the tang is. This is the right-hand side, and this is the left-hand side. So you really want to punch it out this side to here. Pull that out, and your sear and your sear spring are gonna come out. And that is it for disassembly of the frame. And you know, taking things apart isn't really difficult. Putting it back together and making it work is usually the hard part. So that's what we're gonna do in the next video, putting this frame back together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.